We're about to dish the details on supermarket markdowns that usually only the employees know. We've done a couple of videos recently about my Kroger hauls, and we heard from an employee who works for Kroger. We're going to call her Dee, and she gave me all the insider information, tips that usually only the people who work in the supermarket know about markdowns.
Now, if you don't have a Kroger near you, don't worry about that. These tips that we're going to give you apply to other major grocery chains. So you can take these things that we're going to be talking to you about, and you can discuss these with the store manager or the department manager at those stores as well.
And you'll make sure you get all the answers that you need so you can start saving. But hey, if you don't know us,
I'm Larry.
And I'm Hope.
And we're from Under the Median, where every week we bring you videos on practical frugality.
All right, let's get down to all the dishing that Dee did to us about markdowns at her grocery store.
I think these are awesome. And to get an inside look at it is pretty neat. Tip number 1, when it comes to Kroger, now is the time to shop for the markdowns.
And here's why. Kroger is doing a major reset of all of their grocery stores. Maybe you've noticed it. Tell us if you have in the comment section. We did. I walked into Kroger. I was like, wow, this is like a major construction zone. Well, all the Krogers across the United States are doing the same kind of a reset. So because of that, they are wanting to sell off some items and not have to store them during the reset. So you're going to find a lot of items on the markdown shelves right now. It doesn't mean that these products are no longer going to be offered by Kroger. It just simply means they want to sell off what they have on hand right now so they don't have to store it during the reconstruction process. How about some examples of what we just found 2 or 3 days ago at our Kroger? This was allspice, ground allspice, 59 cents.
This is a spicy brown mustard. It's Kroger brand. And the interesting thing, 59 cents, it's not anywhere near the expiration date. In fact, this doesn't expire till June of 2023.
I was excited about this. This is going to go in a gift basket for one of our sons who loves hot sauce. This is smoked serrano wing sauce, the discounted price, 99 cents. And then finally, we have some maple chipotle grill sauce. This is going to go in his basket too. This was marked down to $1.89. So that's just an example of the kind of things you're going to find in the markdown section. We also found some Cascadian Farm cereal that was marked way down to like $1.19 per box.
Yeah, that's organic.
It absolutely is.
It's good stuff.
So make sure. Now, what Dee suggests is because this area of the grocery store is stocked throughout the day, you're going to find an overturn in this section frequently. Let's just say on your way home from work, you pass a Kroger. Make sure you just hop in real quick each day and check that markdown section right now.
Tip number 2, look for general merchandise markdowns every time you go in the store.
Once again, we mentioned that right now specifically, you're going to see a lot of turnover in this area. Now, a lot of times the overnight manager will go ahead and pull things from the shelf and get them ready for markdown, but they don't go out until the next morning. So really, anytime after 10 a.m. is when you're going to begin to see the new markdowns come on to the markdown shelves.
Now, let's say you have 2 or 3 Kroger stores in your area. Don't assume that the markdowns at Kroger store number 1 are going to be the same as they are at 2 and 3. Each store is very unique in what they mark down.
So make sure that you're checking each of the Kroger stores that you are near.
Tip number 3, and I think this is really important, don't limit yourself to just what you might see in the clearance aisle. They mark things down all throughout the store. So you got to do, it's kind of like a treasure hunt, isn't it? You go through the store and dig for these.
You need to make sure that you know exactly where the markdown areas are in each of the parts of the store that you tend to shop. So we're talking about meat is going to have their own markdown area, dairy, produce, the bakery, the floral area, the organic area. All of those areas will have specific points and shelf areas where they put their markdown items. So make sure that you ask in that area, where do you put your markdown, so you know where to locate them throughout the store. Now, I just gave you examples of areas that we have found markdowns in our local grocery stores. Did I miss any? If there's an area I did miss and you're thinking, no, I find markdowns in a different area too, tell us about it in the comments section. While you're down there in the comments section, just scroll up a little bit. Give this video a like, will ya? Give it a thumbs up. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're not subscribed,
subscribe and hit that bell notification. Now, I hope you mentioned something about going around to the different departments of the store, but we found out something really interesting when we were looking for our date night snack the other time that we were in Kroger. They have several different places that they put plant-based food, and that's what we were looking for. So there was a freezer, there was a cooler, there was another place, and they were spread throughout the store. They weren't even in one area. And our last place that we looked, that's where we found the best deals. So you really do have to do some hunting to get these deals.
Sometimes we have also found that those markdowns, they're not even in a special area. They're just on the shelf, place where they actually would be normally, and you'll see the big, bright markdown stickers on them.
Tip number 4 is about the Kroger red bags. Look for these. Usually they're on like an in-counter display, and you can get some really good deals with those.
Everybody know about the Kroger red bags in the produce department. Tell us if you love the Kroger red bags. We're going to show you examples. So Kroger red bags, they're on a specific display, and anything that is housed in one of these red mesh bags, you get the whole bag for 99 cents. Now, that means that there's no reason to even weigh these bags unless you're comparing one red bag to another red bag to see which one is heavier, because everything housed in the bag, 99 cents, same price.
So we got these striped pumpkins, and of course they were reduced on that sale. What are you going to do with the pumpkins?
I am thinking that I am going to cut them open, take the seeds out, roast them, then take most of the flesh out, and I'm either going to use them as an edible soup tureen, just make some pumpkin soup and serve it in the actual shell of the pumpkin. I'm also thinking pumpkin hummus served in one of these as a tureen. I think that sounds really, really fun.
That does.
Here's another example of a red bag deal. These were 6 limes, and so of course we got 6 for 99 cents. Red bag area of your Kroger produce department. Make sure you look there. Now, we have shopped the red bag department for a really, really long time, but Dee gave us some insider tips about the red bag department that I literally never knew.
Dee mentioned that if you see bananas in a red bag, they're usually 39 cents a bag.
She also mentioned if you see bananas that are starting to go dark, ask the produce manager if they will mark them down for you, and generally they will. Here's something else about the red bag department I did not know. If you get there and that display is empty, or you don't see what you're really looking for, which often happens to us, we go later in the day and we're like, well, it's empty, there's nothing available. Maybe not so. Dee said, ask in the produce department, do you have any red bags in the back? Because they pull all of that produce earlier in the day and it's sitting in the back, and they just maybe haven't had a time to put it in one of the red mesh bags yet. And oftentimes, if they've got time, that produce department manager will go in the back. If you're looking for something specific, bag those items up for you in a red bag, and you'll get the whole bag, once again, 99 cents.
Don't be afraid to ask for a markdown on a produce item that might look like it's getting right on the edge of its expiration. They gladly will mark down items that they don't think that they're going to sell or they're going to end up throwing out.
I would like a great application for this. If you are watching and you're like a juicer, you juice items, I think this is gold, because a lot of these things, they may be slightly imperfect. Sometimes they just I'm guessing they just stocked a whole bunch of them in for Halloween and didn't sell all of them. So oftentimes it's perfectly good looking produce. They're just selling it off. And I think if you juice, it's a great way to get a lot of items to juice at a really low price.
And of course, old bananas can be made into banana bread. There are so many applications. Older apples can be made into applesauce. So, you know, there's always ways to save older produce from going out in the garbage can.
Now, if you're looking for ideas about how to think outside the box when it comes to scoring something like this and thinking, it's great, it looks lovely, what do I do with it now? We actually did a whole video where we showed one of our markdown hauls, and I gave you lots of ways that you can think about using items you get in a markdown haul before they go bad. I'm going to make sure that video is linked up above. I'll also link it in the description of this video.
Tip number 5, if the produce item or the item is not fresh, ask Kroger to mark it down. That's one of their mottos, right?
Yeah, fresh for all.
Yeah, so
Kroger takes that motto really, really seriously. And if you see produce and you're like, I would buy this, but it's a little bit, the leaves are a little wilty or whatever, but I'm still willing to buy it. Take it to someone in the produce department and say, I would love to buy this. If you'll mark it down for me, I'm perfectly willing to buy it. But as you see here, like in this bag of apples, we've got 2 or 3 of them that have some bruising on them. But overall, I'm happy with this bag of apples if you'll just mark it down for me. And then they can, at their discretion, mark it down for you.
tip number 6, ask an employee that works in that section about markdowns. They can give you insight information as to when they mark it down and at what times you should come to get the best selection of markdown items.
Never assume, because we mentioned probably at least a half a dozen departments throughout any major grocery chain that will have markdown areas. Don't assume that each one of those areas does their markdowns at exactly the same time of the day, because that actually is not true. So if you're interested in markdowns in the meat department, go to the meat department. Wait until you see someone who is like stocking the shelves and just be very friendly and say, hey, you know what? I'm looking for markdowns. Can you show me where the markdowns are and tell me what time of day you generally do markdowns. And usually that employee will be super, super happy to help you with that information. I have never had a rude employee when I have asked them about markdowns. Usually, in fact, they will give me little tidbits and advice and information. We had an employee at a Kroger store. We found out they did their markdowns on produce like at noon. Well, at 12:30 on Sundays, we're headed right by a Kroger on our way home from church. So we would stop in and peruse all the markdowns. Well, we got to know one of the employees in there fairly well. And she would tell me, she's like, hey, I haven't gotten to that part of the produce aisle. So you go ahead and look if you see anything that is dated a sell by date 48 hours or less from this date. You just bring it over to me and I'm happy to just go ahead and mark it down for you so you don't have to wait for me to get to that part of the produce section. She would also tell me, she's like, so we're going to be running a little bit late. There's some stuff going on in the department. So for the next 2 weeks, it's going to be closer to 1, just so you know, so you don't get here and you're disappointed the markdowns aren't out yet. And she would say, now I want you to look in that part of the produce department because you see all those salad kits. I can't mark them down yet because it's 3 days out from their sell-by date. But I want you to notice that. And she said, I'm going to mark those down. Tomorrow morning at noon, those are going to be marked down. So if you want a great deal on all of those amazing salad kits, come back in tomorrow around 12:30 and you're going to find them all marked down. That's the kind of information you're going to get when you're very friendly and you really let the produce department or whoever know that employee that you're super interested and you are thankful for all the information they're giving you.
Here's another little inside tidbit that we didn't know. The sell-by date on milk has to be out 10 days. So if you see milk that's within that 10-day period, ask the employee there to mark it down.
I literally, tell us in the comment section, did you know that about milk? All the other sell-by dates, it's usually 48 hours until the sell-by date. When the sell-by date is 48 hours out, they'll mark it down. But milk is apparently different, 10 days or less, and they will start marking that milk down. Never knew that.
Awesome. Tip number 7 is learn the best times to go into each department for the best markdowns.
Now, as we mentioned, this will vary from store to store, but get your pens and pencils ready because Dee dished all the details on exactly how Kroger handles markdowns and when is the best time of the day to visit each of the markdown areas of your Kroger store.
Department managers at Kroger are strongly encouraged to have all of their markdowns done by 10 a.m. They go through the shelves, they do kind of an inventory, and they mark them down. They want to have that completed by 10 a.m. So if you go past 10 a.m., you're going to get the best markdowns.
And that is the general merchandise markdowns, like the shelf-stable items. Now, how is that different in some of the other departments of the store?
Produce is marked down throughout the day, but the best times to get into the produce area for markdowns is between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m.
If you're looking for dairy, visit that dairy department before 11 a.m. for the best selection of markdowns.
The bakery department, where all the goodies are, they mark down things between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. So once again, a little larger window there for them.
But once again, a reminder, be sure that you ask an employee in each department where you're interested in shopping for markdowns. Ask them at your local store, and they are going to be able to give you the inside scoop on how this whole system works at their store.
Tip number 8, don't forget the floral department.
Yes, don't forget the floral department, Larry.
All floral items are marked down within that department, and they're not going to be in the clearance item. They're going to be in that section.
Now, you're going to notice as you look at the floral arrangements that there is a date on the stem of those bouquets. That date is the last date that bouquet will be displayed in the store. So if you're looking for the freshest bouquet, then you're going to want to look for the farthest date out from when you're in the store. If you're looking for something that you're going to be able to score flowers that are still in great shape for a discount, then you're going to want to look for a date that is closest to when you are in the store.
And all the items that you see, like outside or in other parts of the store that are garden floral related, they're also a part of that floral department.
So it's the floral department manager that's going to be handling all of those markdowns. Now, if you want to see how this whole idea of markdowns works in real life, we just dropped a video a few days ago. I showed you my major markdown haul and gave you great tips on how you can think outside the box and use all of those markdown deals, particularly if it's something like produce or dairy that has a shorter shelf life. I showed you how to use all of those items up before they go bad. That video is right over there. Give it a watch.